And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please welcome to the ice the members of the 2016 NCAA National Champions from the University of North Dakota.
Three, two, one. Welcome back to the Has-Beens, presented by 10K Takes, brought to you always by the Chill Boys.
And you can go on www.chillboys.com. And listeners, you can type in HB15 to get 15% off your first order from the Chill Boys. Get your underwear, socks made out of bamboo.
Now, let's get into our weekend recap, brought to you by Beauty Status.
And like I said last week, guys, Beauty Status has those head covers for your driver, and they've got poles now for the golf course, as well as all the other stuff. They've got, stickers and flags for the man cave. Just very authentic stuff. They do a genuine job there with the Minnesota brand and in hockey all around.
What did we get up to on the weekend, fellas? Ols, what did you get up to?
Yeah, actually, I had some buddies one buddy in town from Orlando to go to Michael Brodzinski's wedding. I met Brodsy down in Orlando there, and then Cody Donahue, a newfie, came over. He was part of the wedding party, so I had some drinks with them, enjoyed the wedding. They were kind of the only two that I really knew there.
Well, you knew Liv.
What's that?
You knew Liv.
Yeah, I knew Liv. There were a few over the, Rich Art was there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so there were a couple of has-beens that stopped by the Brodzinski Cameronese wedding or whatever, but it was a blast. Great time, great people. Obviously hit that dance floor for about 4 hours, and then was mega hung Sunday. So,
where was this venue? Where did it
was?
take place?
Yeah. So the wedding was at St. Bartholomew's. It was a Catholic wedding, so. They kept it pretty short, though. Those are 10, they tend to be long, so they kept it under an hour, which was nice. And then the actual wedding reception party was at Wayzata Country Club, just in their lobby,
nice.
Whatever. So it was a really nice venue, beautiful wedding, fun dance party afterwards. So
what are you gonna give it out of 10? 1 through 10 wedding. Venue, food included, guests.
8.7 out of 10. 8.7 out of 10. It was solid. It was they had free beer and wine, and then mules as well. So you kind of had your pick at whatever poison you wanted to put in your body. And I definitely did that. Mixed a few of each. So it was good. The food was great. Everything was great. It was fantastic. And those guys are two great people. So it was fun.
For sure. Mace, what did you get up to?
Went up to Duluth for the All Pints North kind of like beer, celebration. I don't know what you want to call it, beer tasting event. But I forgot to buy a ticket, so I didn't end up going to the actual event. I just kind of went to some bars and got drunk. And then I got in a fight with a bagsboard and got a little mark in my head. So
you should see the other guy.
Yeah, you should see the bagsboard. Messed up.
Yeah. It's got a nice chip on it, a little spot of paint missing. Fuck that thing.
Oh yeah. But it was a good weekend. It was fun going up to Duluth. Got to see some good sights. Went to some new places I hadn't been before. So yeah.
You stop over to Roscoe's Pioneer Bar?
Yeah, Friday night I hit that. It was sweet.
Yeah, it's a dingy bar, but they pour 80-20s, and it's a dartboard and one pool table, and you're crammed in there. It's fantastic.
I was kind of running up the darts too. I don't know.
Love that.
It was a good weekend.
Love that.
Love that. I also forgot, boys. Sorry, didn't introduce anyone. I'm here joined, as always, by Jack Mason and Trevor Olson. But we do have a very special guest with us today. He happened to be my road roommate in Ann Arbor, Michigan Wolverine, kind of a stud. Used to hit the long ball in the course, fucking whack the thing off the tee box, 330, whatever. Evan Allen. Ev, thanks for coming on, man.
What's going on, boys? Thanks for having me. You kind of, Gage, you kind of teed me up for what I did this weekend. All in that intro there. I was back in Ann Arbor for Michigan Hockey Alumni Weekend, which you guys have all been to alumni weekends. I'm assuming, so you know what goes on there. It was an absolute blast. So pumped to be here, though.
Ev, how many of the boys that you played with made it back? Like, what are some of the names? Did JT or Mater end up making it back? Like Mike Downing?
JT and Mott were not there. In our group was, Mike Downing, Nolan DeYoung. I know you know him.
Yeah.
There was a lot of the younger guys too, actually. There was a ton of guys my year and below, which was great to see. Hughes, Norris, Lockwood, some of those guys. So it was a lot of the younger guys. We got to go in, so it was fun.
That's sweet. That's sweet.
Big timers.
Yeah, that's sweet to get the young guys in there for those alumni events. Keep them around for a long time. That's sweek.
JT didn't want to bring the cup. JT didn't want to bring the cup to the alumni tournament.
The weekend prior, we were in Chicago with JT for his cup party. So we saw JT and then Mott there, which was a blast. But JT is definitely too big time for Michigan.
Oh, yeah. How about Copper? Have you seen Andrew Kopp recently? You know, the dual threat athlete?
No, I haven't. He was in New York with the Rangers here for a bit, but busy schedule. He had a wedding last weekend. But no, we all keep in touch with each other, but haven't seen him in person. But he signed a nice ticket here a few weeks ago. Going back home.
Good, you?
Not bad, me.
Couple sheets. Yeah. No, that sounds fun. Alumni weekend. That was actually UND had the alumni golf event last weekend for us. So those are always a hell of a time. I ended up missing it because I had work, and everyone knows, fucking work takes priority, First comes work, second comes family, third comes health, fourth comes fitness, and five comes, alumni events that I don't have time for. Fuck. But
where do you guys have that alumni weekend? Back in Grand Forks?
No, it was actually in Minneapolis. Where was it? Oak Ridge in Hopkins there? Or?
Yeah, in Hopkins. It was a nice little track. It was a decent turnout. We had like 50 some guys. It was solid, but I'd say mostly older guys.
Nice.
Does Coach Red Berenson make his way out to the alumni events, or is that past his time?
Yeah, Red does not golf. He's not a golf fan. He's all hockey, strictly business. So he shows up once the golf is done, shakes some hands, shows face, and that's about it. Drink a cup of coffee, and he's out. That's literally about it. Coach?
I respect that. Well, my weekend was actually, it kind of made me feel old a little bit. On Saturday, went to my brother's engagement party, which, this day and age, how many fucking events do I have to go to for a wedding? I've got the engagement party, there's like 6 events. Do I have to bring a gift to each of these events? How much money do you want me to spend on you? I'm going to end up buying a suit for the wedding. I'm going to end up giving you a gift for the wedding and all this stuff. It's like, can I just, sign a contract? I'll give you, $5,000 and just, I'm out. I can do my own thing. No, but it was, go ahead, Ev.
That was one thing I was going to ask you. It's probably nice for you guys, though, with all the weddings. They're probably all somewhat back in Minnesota, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, they are. It's actually convenient. Most of the guys get married in Minnesota. There's a lot of the guys we play with, they all come back to Minnesota in the summers and train there and kind of live there. This is a great spot to train because there's so many players, they get good skates and stuff. So it is convenient that way. But yeah, we're up this engagement party. It happened to be a great time. Got to see both my family members, my mom's side, my dad's side, people you don't see very often, which, when you leave, you're like, fuck, I should see them more. And it's like, it gets tough, we all get busy. we all have things to do. We want to see friends. We want to do things on the weekends. And, you kind of lose track of time a little bit. And before you know it, you're like, God, I haven't seen my aunt or my, one of my grandmas for a year or so. Like, got to make time for them. So it was good to see them. But just the gift thing is funny to me. Like, I got to bring a gift to each one of these things. And it's like, fuck, you think I'm fucking made of money? Like, that's why these parties are invented, right? Like, I'm going to, when I get married, I'm going to be like, we got this party, eighth of the way through. Then we got this other party, fourth of the way through. I'm expecting gifts at each one, just, gift cards, whatever, just cash. That's fine for sure. And yeah, it's funny to me how much stuff they have planned. But, it's like when you think of guys, when you're walking around, you're asking the guys, like, what do you look forward to? And it's like, I want to go on a golf trip with the boys. I want to do this. I want to go golf or whatever. For girls, they want these events. They want the engagement party. Like, that's the Super Bowl of them. We're like, oh, I can't wait for fucking Super Bowl Sunday. They're like, I can't wait for the fucking engagement party. It's going to be unbelievable. Pictures, dress up. It's going to be great.
Bridal shower, everything.
Yeah, all that's, all that's.
Wait till they start having babies. Then you got a baby shower. It's like 2 years straight.
And they live for it. And I think, when they're telling me they're going to this like baby shower, bridal shower, I'm like, I would rather go to fucking Wee Fest next week than go to that fucking, like, that sounds terrible. But no, we'll move on to the fun stuff brought to you by Butter Golf. Obviously, felt hat here. Our buddy Jordan Schmaltz started Butter Golf, butter.golf online. You can get your merch today. It's limited edition, so there's only a certain amount left. So get there and get your stuff. Ev, I think you'd like this stuff. It fits you pretty well. It's catered to the hockey player who, gets the terminology. Like when I was in high school, Ev, you were the guy that I was getting my terminology from, right? You were making up these fucking words and shit. I didn't know what you were saying, but I was saying it myself because I thought it was cool. Yeah. So they got that stuff. Just get the Butter Golf there. But let's get into the fun stuff here. And the first one is Nail Gun of the Week. Does anyone want to start us off? Any person you thought
I'll set the tone.
Yeah, let's go.
I'll set the tone. So my nail gun of the week was obviously from the wedding. That was my big event. Mr. Cameron Easy. I truthfully, I didn't get his name when we were there, but he's a pretty stoic guy. Doesn't smile a whole lot. Like, he'll crack like a dry joke every once in a while, but then he won't laugh or anything. He's just a pretty like stern guy. Well, we got to the dance floor on Saturday night, and all of a sudden people were pouring drinks on the dance floor, and here comes Mr. Cameron Easy, and he slides across the dance floor on his stomach in his dress shirt.
Let's go.
No way.
Yeah, so that's my nail gun of the week. Kind of gets out of his element and enjoys a slide through the old dance floor there at the wedding.
That's
That's good shit. Anytime you're a father and you're looked at this as this guy who's, setting the example, being a role model, and he ends up letting loose and fucking sliding on the dance floor, you got to respect it.
Yeah.
That's one of the good things about weddings. You see a little of the older guys let loose a little bit. They're having a good time, and it's like they used to be a fucking weapon, eh? You just know. Like when that guy was in college, fuck, I'd like to hang out with him.
They circled that day on the calendar, go day.
They get it like once every 3 years, but when they go hard.
Oh, love
Anyone
that.
else want to start us off, or you want Mace? You got something, or you want me to go?
Yeah, I got one. So I'm not sure which game it was in. I think it was the semifinals. It was I think it was called the Gretzky Cup or something, the Hlinski Gretzky Cup. Well, it was Germany versus Czechoslovakia, or Czech Republic, I guess. And during warm-ups, one of the Czechia guys noticed one of the Germany guys was going over the red line a little bit too much, and gave him a nice cross-check, and kind of put him in his place. So that's my nail gun of the week.
I love it.
Yeah, you got to teach those guys stepping over the red line. You know, that's my red line, bud.
You got to teach them early before guys like who are the big fighters in the coast nowadays, before they start whacking you when you go over the red line.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane, bud. Stay in your lane.
I was a minimum in the coast. I was a minimum of 10 feet from the red line in warm-ups. I wasn't even getting fucking close.
Does that happen regularly in the coast? Guys like at the red lines in warm-up?
Yes.
Oh my god! It was every fucking game, man. It was the circus.
Who are the guys that got in the fight in the Zamboni room after warm-ups?
Come on.
Swear to God, wasn't it Melindy and somebody else, or
yeah,
it was
Well, we had a couple of those stories. One of them was our fighter Travis Howe suspended for like 12 games for doing some ridiculous thing. So he's in the press box, and this is not warm-ups, this is after the game. He's in the press box and the game ends, and the teams are like, going to their goalie. We're playing Idaho or whatever. The Idaho team's going to their goalie, skates up to him, and then all of a sudden they go back, they look back to try to skate off the ice, and Howie's in his fucking suit and dress shoes on the ice, like, let's fucking go. Fucking go. He's in his suit. He's fucking suspended 12 games, and he's trying to go guys after the game. He's got guys, like, he's ragdoll guys slipping around. They're on skates. Like, it was insane. It was nuts.
This guy's in his suit, and he's going guys in their gear.
Oh, yeah. After the game's over.
That's unreal.
It's incredible.
Unreal.
Okay, I'll go with my nail gun of the week. I'm gonna go with Nancy Pelosi. She flew to Taiwan today, and the Chinese, they're threatening, Nancy, you go to Taiwan, it's a big trouble. You're fucked. Fuck you guys, I'm coming anyways. So she just landed in Taiwan today. What else is gonna happen? World War III? I don't know. But she fucking went, and that's a nail gun move. I mean, she could have been shot down. She had to have been, palms are sweaty. Who knows? But that's my nail gun of the week right there for sure, just because there's a lot on the line there. I don't know how she's doing it. I mean, she is a little older, so maybe, when you get a little older, you're kind of like, if I die, I die. Fuck it, I'm going to die anyways. Fuck's the problem. But that's my nail gun of the week right there. I have a couple honorable mentions. My Aunt Judy, who shows up. Everyone knows her, the crazy aunt. She shows up to the engagement party, and we're all hanging out in this garage, and all the cars are parked, on the side of the street and stuff. She pulls right up to the garage, right next to all the tables, puts it in park, opens the door up. How we doing? Just pulls out a bunch of fucking coolers full of stuff and just livened up the party. That's a nail gun move right there. Just does not care where anyone else parked. She's parking in the fucking driveway. I don't care. I got a bunch of beers here. I'm not carrying them from the road. I'm driving right up the driveway. Fucking unload my car. Let's drink some beers.
That's textbook nail gun behavior.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree.
Ev, do you got anything you want us to move on to the next one?
I didn't have anything until you just said that right there. So we had alumni weekend this weekend, and we had the golf outing, which 10-5 we'll call it, and then we all head out to Southview, and we were all at the Brown Jug. There's probably 40 of us there, and like a lot of the older alumni were at one table, and then some current players and like the newer alumni were at another table. And Kevin Porter walks in. And he starts looking around, and he goes, I want 25 B-Walls, and I want 25 vodka sodas. B-Walls are just like shots we used to have at the bar all the time. And the new guys were all like, what's that? Should we drink it? Should we drink it? And everyone just looks over at him and just goes, just fucking drink it, man. And everyone's just ripping on these new guys. Welcome to the alumni, boys. So that was good stuff.
Oh yeah,
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Right.
you gotta love the guy buying the boys drinks. Just fucking let's go. This ain't we're not at Sunday mass here. We're at alumni golf event. You get some drinks.
Saturday in July, boys. Go.
yeah.
That's Green
So
Lake
good.
Central.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. This is a new segment here. We haven't tried it yet, but it's called Fuck One, Marry One, and Bury One, or Kill One, whatever you prefer. I'm gonna bury them. The first three we're going with: the Minnesota Gophers, the Boston College Eagles, and the Denver Pioneers. Does anyone want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. I'm going to fuck Boston College because I scored a game winner in Madison Square Garden against them. So that one was an easy one. I'm going to marry the Pios. I feel like they're very similar to North Dakota hockey. And I'm going to bury the Gophers because fuck the Gophers. Easy, simple for me.
Yeah, I like that. Personally, I I'm gonna go fuck the Gophers. Just because, I just want to, fuck those guys.
Well, all right.
And then I'm going to marry the Boston College Eagles just because I don't have any vendetta against them. And then I'm just going to fucking bury the Pios. Get those fucking guys out of here. I have nothing against them. I like all those guys, but, I feel like that's a big rivalry for, the UND folk, and that's what I'm going to go with.
I respect that.
What did you have for the Gophers, Gage?
What's that?
What did you have for Minnesota again?
I was gonna fuck them. Just one and done. Yeah.
Yeah.
You up 2:30 a.m. You up, and then 3 a.m. Fuck out of here.
that quick. Love that.
It's
Got you, noob already.
Yeah,
Even at
it's a little
2:30 a.m.
It's a little mean, but I have to go with that one. I didn't want to kill him though, because I want him around just so we can kind of embarrass them while they're here.
That's always fun, right? Sorry, Hudson Fashing. I'll go with that. I'm gonna fuck Boston College. I like that place. That place was sick. We played there one time. I was scratched and we won, and that was I think we pumped them like 5-2. Sorry, Demko. That was a good one. I'm gonna marry Denver.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've never played them. We never went out. I've never been there. I don't know. I have no idea. But then I'm going to bury the Gophers. I cannot stand that team. I cannot stand that school. I cannot stand that place.
I love that. I'm in the same boat. Baby.
There you go.
That's exactly what we were looking for. That's incredible.
A little layup there.
Yeah.
I also go a little bit with the Denver one because of Gage's background and some of the history that I know that happened with Denver and Gage. So we'll keep them around.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's more of a respect thing for me. Like I understand where Gage is coming from, but I don't know. They're the same fucking team as us. They're big and they're fast and whatever. So, and I love that school. I think it's sweet, but I actually never played there because it was in elevation and I was fat. So,
were your guys' games against them? Was that your biggest rival? I mean, besides Minnesota, if you ever played them.
Them and Duluth, I'd say, were easily our biggest rivals in the NCHC. I don't know where that hatred kind of came from with Duluth, probably with their coaches or whatever. But then Denver's another one, just because it was always a 1-goal game, always 3-2, 2-1, like boring, fucking. But it was just
it was 100%. It was 100% Denver and Duluth. We respected Denver. Like, we didn't hate them when we played them, but we knew, like, you know, this is the team we have to beat. Duluth was more like they were very good and they fucking hated us, which made us hate them. And Duluth was by far, for me, our biggest rival in college when I was there, just because we had those battles and, like, they had, like, very similar teams and we were just fucking mean to each other on the ice. We always respected Denver, and it was always funny because, you know, when we play in Duluth, they'd have a good crowd, Duluth crowd. But when we go to Denver, the entire Denver stadium would be UND fans because the biggest UND alumni hub, the biggest UND alumni hub was in Denver. So the whole stadium would be filled with green. And their coach, before we played them one year, he did an interview and it was Monty, Coach Montgomery, and he literally said that we're playing in Denver, and he's like, what's the game plan for tonight? And he's like, well, you know, we want to score early to take the crowd out of it. And they're playing at home.
Like, that was at home?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It was nuts. So, yeah, I mean, we loved playing in Denver. It was tough to play them, though, because you're up in the elevation, like Olson said, like, you can't fucking breathe. And you can't take longer. Yeah. You take a 30-second shift, you're done. Like, you got to get off the ice. If you get stuck out there longer, you're straight-legged, like, can't even move.
No way. Damn.
I can honestly say I've never played a full series in Denver in my 4 years. Like, it's horrible.
Damn, that's crazy. I've heard it's like that, but we never played out there. I don't know. I've never – damn, that's crazy. Did you guys play against Minnesota at all?
Yeah. I played them once actually 3 times, but in Mariucci during the regular season. We played them in that fucking pond, that lake that they play on, whatever it is. It's a fucking huge sheet of ice. But it was nuts. It was insane.
Damn, that's crazy. Damn. Good stuff.
Mace, what are you going with here?
All right, so this is going to be probably pretty unpopular. I already know. But I'm going to start it off. I'm marrying the Gophers. They're always my team growing up. I still love the Sioux, and, like, ever since college, they've been my go-to team now. But growing up, it was all Gophers. So I got to put them at number 1. Then the other 2 was tough. I was thinking about this for a little bit. But I'm going to fuck Boston College purely based on the fact that their campus is nicer and I feel like the city is a little more electric.
I love that.
Yeah.
Bury Denver. It pains me to say it, but I'll bury Denver. I love the mountains, but
yeah, I don't like burying Denver because I do like them. Great program. I like all the players, but they're just the biggest rivalry we have, and you got to get rid of them. Okay, we'll do one more here, just NHL based. We'll keep it light. Toronto Maple Leafs, New York Rangers, Chicago Blackhawks.
Do you want me to start again here, Gager?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to bury the Maple Leafs. I have no ties to the Maple Leafs. I'm not a Canadian. I have zero interest in them, and I didn't root for them at any point in my life. So I'm going to bury them. I'm going to fuck the Chicago Blackhawks, and I'm going to marry the Rangers. I just think the Rangers' history is nasty. If I was going to be specific, I'd fuck the Chicago Blackhawks from like 2011 to 2014 when they were nasty. But I'm going to marry the Rangers strictly for their history.
I like that.
I was gonna say you gotta put some dates on the Blackhawks now. Of
Yeah,
what your pick is.
yeah, because right now they're ugly, and I'd probably bury them.
They've always went through that span, though. Like before, when we remember them when they were kind of a dynasty, almost like the Pittsburgh Penguins and stuff. Like they were, people were arguing if Johnny Taves and Patty Kane were the two best players of the league, and they were just a fucking powerhouse. But before that, they were terrible, and now they're absolutely awful. So like they're a fucking roller coaster, man. If you're a Blackhawks fan, it's a goddamn roller coaster out there. Yeah, I guess I'll go second here, I guess. Yeah, I think I'm gonna fuck the New York Rangers just because walking around NYC, the Big Apple, fucking just you're a Ranger in the town, like that's got to be pretty fucking cool. Like you're playing in Madison Square Garden, people are wearing Ranger shit around. That's cool. I'm gonna kill the Blackhawks. I'm gonna bury them. They're too up and down for me. Even though I love, I like how they're. I think, if you look at NHL teams in big cities, they're usually the lower end of the totem pole, right? Like no one really cares about the NHL teams. It's always the higher up. I think the Blackhawks do have good fans. They have really good fans there that care about them, but they're too up and down. I'm going to marry the Leafs. I think that's like playing in Toronto, playing for the Maple Leafs in Canada, like, and everyone knows, like I'm power, I'm power hungry. I want to be famous, kind of like you like that feeling of, everyone knows who you are. We're walking around like, when you're in Toronto, I mean, if you play for the Leafs, you are like Mark Wahlberg, like you are like Post Malone, like you're the biggest thing ever. And I think that'd just be a fucking really cool experience, and it means so much to them. I know obviously it'd be tough because, you have down years and they're all this, the fans that are fucking tough, but I just think that'd be so cool to play for the Maple Leafs. They're so passionate. And when you're walking around town, like if you walked around town in Toronto and you had like Kevin Durant and LeBron James walking around, and then you had Austin Matthews next to him, no one would give a fuck about Kevin Durant and LeBron James. They would only want to see Austin Matthews. Like that is fucking sick. And you can't get that in the USA.
All right. I respect it. That was passionate. That was passion filled. I loved it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm a Maple Leafs fan.
You will be famous one day, Goose. Don't worry.
Yep.
Already am.
I knew that. No, yeah, that was good. That was good. I would go with fuck the Rangers. I feel like the Rangers is a team. I don't know. We talked about Kopp earlier. He got in, then got out. I feel like that's a team where you go, rip it up for a year or two, and then go to like where you're going to finish. I don't know. And you can only live in this place for so long unless you're a certain someone. But I'd go for fuck the Rangers. I would marry the Blackhawks. They're long term. Eventually, they're gonna end up good somehow, some way. Could be 3 years, could be 10 years, could be 30 years, but they're gonna figure it out. And then I'm gonna bury the Maple Leafs. Olson, I'm right there with you. I kind of just like I only watch the Maple Leafs in the playoffs, and I kind of watch them like, oh, okay, I'm watching them to absolutely mess this up, not to watch them succeed. And I don't know. I just don't have any interest in the Maple Leafs. And I was just in Toronto a few weeks ago for a wedding, and it was impossible to get into and out of. So I'm burying the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, there's also that where you're in Canada, and right now in this day and age, I mean, are you living in a communist country right now? I mean, you can't go anywhere without fucking getting a COVID test, abiding by the. I mean, it's. Why do you think Johnny Gaudreau wanted to come back to the U.S. and play in Columbus? Like,
Yeah, he went to OSU. Are you kidding?
he can go to.
How
he
bad
can
did
go
he want to
to
get out of there?
he can go to restaurants in Columbus. He can take his dog for a walk without a mask on. Like, all that shit matters to players. Like, they have lives outside of this hockey game that all we think, like, all these fans think their whole life is just playing hockey. Well, the majority of their life is actually outside of the rink, which is what matters. So you got to think about that aspect.
Yeah.
And to your point, those like Chicago and New York, like, okay, is someone going to know who Andrew Kopp is if he's going out to the bar? Only if they're a huge Rangers fan. They're going to know who Kevin Durant and all those guys are, so they can kind of run a bit, which is kind of nice. But Toronto, you can't do anything.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Mace, what are you going with?
So, without a doubt, I'm burying the Blackhawks. I fucking hate the Blackhawks. They're my least favorite team in the league. Always been the biggest rival for Minnesota, and especially Patrick Kane. I mean, he's nasty, but just on the wrong team, Just, I don't know. Just don't like him. Never have.
I respect.
And then I'm going to marry the Rangers because I like MSG. Their history is pretty good. And for the biggest reason, they got a shit ton of Minnesota boys on their team right now. And I like watching teams that have a lot of Minnesota boys. So, and then fuck Montreal, or not Montreal, Maple Leafs. I like their current players, but I don't really like their franchise, though. Never really liked them. Don't really have anything bad against them, but just never liked them.
I like that. That's solid. That's different.
Just can't stand the Blackhawks, though.
Yeah, no, I respect that. No love for the Blackhawks because you're a Wild fan, as you should.
Makes me really happy seeing the Blackhawks just be terrible and just bottom of the league. Makes me smile.
I've never really, I've always lived in Minnesota. I've never really truly been like a Wild fan. Just because, I think also, like, were you a huge Wild fan growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I watched them, and we would come down to the games, like.
But you're not like a like. I feel like when you play the game and like all these guys who are, getting drafted other teams and all this stuff, and you kind of lose a passion for like for me Vikings. The Vikings for me are like, I'm a diehard. Like, I get legit upset when the Vikings lose games they shouldn't and stuff. I don't have that. I don't have that with hockey. Like, because I wish I did have that passion, but I just don't because I'm too close to the game. I feel like. I respect.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, so I respect that pick out of Mace because he's a true fan.
Yeah.
And I would hate the Blackhawks too if I was a true Wild fan. So.
Yeah, I would say I'm more of a fan to the Wild now than I was growing up. I think I was a fan of hockey in general growing up, but like now that I'm in Minneapolis, obviously Vikings number one, but Wild is easily my two.
And see, that's 100%. Where I'm kind of different. Like, I never watched a ton of college hockey growing up. Like, I'd watch like the big Gopher games and whatnot, and a couple Sioux games here and there, but it was all Wild games. I've been a season ticket holder since day one, so been going ever since I was born.
You guys have any buddies on the Wild? They got to be celebs there, eh?
Got traded. Tyson Jost just got traded, and then I know Gage's buddies.
No, he didn't.
No, I'm saying at the end of last year.
Yeah.
At the end of last year, he got traded to Minnesota, and he showed up and he said he loves it here compared to Colorado. He said he loved it. And then I know Gage's buddies with Hartman, right?
Hartzell.
Yeah.
Ev was pretty good. It was actually me and Ev hanging out with Hartsey and A too. So
okay.
Ev knows Hartsey. Yeah.
I just on his Instagram, he was, and I keep up with you guys pretty often. I think you guys, who was it, George Schmaltz? I think maybe, or one of the Schmaltz. I saw Hartsey on a golf trip. There's 2 aces in 1 round.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
Oh, yeah, how nuts is that?
But you see Hartsey around, that's sick.
Yeah, we see him around every once in a while. I see him at the bars every once in a while and hang out, talk to him. I think I can't remember last time I saw him was actually we were at the Loop, and it was like 3-4 days before their outdoor game. We were just having a couple of beers there, and I was asking about the outdoor game, and that guy's just such an all timer, man. Like, and people,
Yeah.
I don't know if we said this, but in A2 we'll get to it. But Hartsey, his family owned a place in A2, and then he played in Plymouth in the OHL after he left the program, where we actually got to know him. So he was still in town, so we'd always go over to his place after like school or hockey and hang out with him. So yeah, and then I mean, you were talking about the Wild, like if we know any guys on the team, the Wild would be, Minnesota would be one of the best places to play in the NHL, I think, just because of how much the fans are in tune and care about it. Like, they're right in line. I mean, it's crazy to think like over America, there's not many cities that view the NHL team as bigger than the NBA team in town, but the Wild for sure trumped the Timberwolves. Like, no one knows the Timberwolves, and everyone knows the Wild in Minnesota. So like, it would be very cool to play for the Wild here, just because of the passion that and the knowledge that everyone has for the game of hockey. But I don't know about I think taxes ain't bad. Weather's terrible in the winter, I guess. Got that. I mean, you're playing in Tampa. Good, you? I mean, fucking, that's great.
You guys are like talking about like being a Minnesota Wild fan. Like, I'm here in New York, like, and when people ask me who I'm a fan of, I'm like, I guess the Red Wings. But the only time I guess I would ever really go to an NHL game now is if like JT was in town, or like I had a buddy in town. I would never be like, oh, the Rangers are playing Patrick Kane tonight. Let me go watch Patrick Kane, obviously with like busy lives. But like, I feel like the only time I'd go to an NHL game was just like meet up or see a buddy play. Not like, oh, the Wings are in town,
That's pretty much how it is for me too. I mean, I don't know, but like, if you play college hockey or you play juniors, like you've played with a bunch of these guys that are playing in the NHL now. So like, it's fun to go watch those guys, not necessarily like a certain team. It's just fun to watch a guy you played with and were friends with, and to see him on the big sheet in the national. It's crazy. But yeah, it's really cool that Josie got traded here from Colorado. What an unbelievable guy, and we got to get a golf round in with him also.
Yeah, for sure we do. I'll for sure go to more Wild games now that he's on the team. I'm a big fan of him, so yeah.
All right, let's move on. One and done. And he was like,
beauty.
Ol's gonna attest to this, Ev. Like, there's some guys who go one and done, and
you'll never talk to him again.
Yeah, like you'll never talk to him, and then you're also like, I think he should have stayed another year. This kid came in, and he was just the professional of professionals, like taking care of the body, taking care of it on ice. And you see him after this year, and you're like, he signs, and you're like, he's a professional. He should be playing professional. Like, he does not belong in college where, half of us are eating fucking red pepper before the game.
So funny.
We'll get into that, Ev. Let's move on to the sin bin here. Rapid fire questions, Ev. You'll answer these questions or statements or whatever. 1 is the worst, 10 is the best, and we'll evaluate what you say after. Olson runs this segment, so.
All right, Ev, I got about 12 basically one-word things here. I need you to rate them 1 through 10. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Blondes.
10.
Brunettes.
8.
Yost Arena.
10.
Red Berenson.
8.
Tyler Mott.
8.
Power Hour.
10. Love that. What's that?
We Fest.
I'll give it a 9.
A nice set of nukes.
10.
COVID-19.
0.
NYC.
7.
Ann Arbor.
10.
Joe Louis Arena.
9.
Red pepper white sauce.
10. That stuff is all time. I remember that stuff.
Ev, I said, so Olson runs the Sinbin segment asking these questions, and I sent in, you got to put red pepper white sauce in there because there's a story behind it. So, anyways,
Yeah.
Ev. So the story behind it is Ev comes up to East Grand Forks to my place. He stays at my house, my parents' house, and it's before We Fest, right? Like you came up a week early almost.
Yeah, I came up a week early and we went out to Grand Forks, and then we golfed, and I think we were there for a weekend.
Yeah. So, anyways, I bring Ev to the Red Pepper. Like, we got a couple of drinks in us, whatever, and we leave the place, and Evel's got a fucking tube of white sauce in his hand. And I'm like, you just fucking stole that from the Red Pepper, the white sauce? He's like, yeah, it's fucking incredible. He just fucking took a fucking tube of white sauce, brought it back to my house.
Yeah, I walked out of that place with a full thing of white sauce, and Gage is like, what are you doing? And I'm like, dude, this stuff is unbelievable.
Dude, it is. It's like crack cocaine,
so
man. It's
yeah,
wild.
it was so good.
I just had a meeting with a guy who's in Grand Forks, and he's like, I just moved there. And I'm like, have you been to Red Pepper? And this is like a middle of a business meeting. The guy's like, no, what's that? And I'm like, dude, go there tonight and get the white sauce. You guys still rip that place?
Oh, you have to whenever you're back.
Every time we
sure.
go back. Yeah.
Ev,
100%.
do you remember that night after we walked to the high school football field with a bottle of UV blue?
Yeah.
And we went through with my buddy Dallas, and we were all drinking UV blue, and we convinced Dallas to do a 100-yard dash. And he ran the 100-yard dash. We're all sitting up in the bleachers drinking UV blue. I'm pretty sure Ev brought his white sauce bottle as a chaser.
We had that UV blue. There was like 4 of us. We thought we were just so cool at this high school, watching your buddy just run up and down the football field before We Fest.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so we'll get into Sinbin answers a little more. You gave NYC a 7. You know, do you think you're going to stay there the rest of your life, or is this just a period? Are you going to head back to Michigan? Do you know what's next?
So I gave New York City a 7 because I've been here throughout the whole COVID, and it's just been crazy. There's been like times it's been really, really good, but then other times, like I was just in Ann Arbor and home for the weekend, and I'm like, wow, this is nice to sit in the backyard, go get to the course in 10 minutes. So yeah, I'll be here for a few more years. We're building something pretty good with work, and we're growing like crazy and trying to get stuff going there. But I eventually want to get back to Michigan, and then hopefully Florida. So trying to do a dual role there if I can, but that's the plan.
Yeah, I like that. Well, good Sinbin answers. 10 on the nukes, 10 on the ass. Yep, I'd agree.
We tried to have some more questionable ones in there, but you rated everything above a 7, so it's hard to go back and discuss when everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually we'd have one low number in there or something. Obviously, nobody loves COVID, so.
Yeah. No, I got COVID at 10 because I loved being locked up at home. It was awesome.
Yeah. I wasn't doing nothing. Look, Uber Eats 7 days a week.
Yeah, right.
All right, Ev, we'll move on. We'll move on to your playing career here. It's actually pretty interesting. So you're from Michigan, obviously, Sterling Heights, correct?
Correct.
So you grow up. When do you, like what's hockey like in Michigan? Like, what are you doing when you're growing up? Like, do you know? Are you playing other sports? Do you know you want to play hockey? Like, how did you get into it?
Yeah, like growing up in Michigan, obviously, especially when I was growing up, being born in 1995, like that was the Wings. That was like their years, so the Wings were the team. Everyone's following hockey there. My dad didn't play hockey. I didn't grow up like with hockey in my family. Honestly, just like watching. I always loved sports and like watching the Wings. And then my parents got me a pair of rollerblades, and it was all that I did. And then I got into roller hockey and then ice hockey. And then I played other sports. I played baseball growing up at a high level until I was 14 at a high level, like the highest level that I could play. Golf. I've always been a golfer, tennis, but hockey was huge, man. It was like even those other sports, like I played with Alex Kyle baseball growing up. Trubo was on the same baseball team as me. Like that just like happened where all those communities were so tight. But then I eventually, my dad met Mike Hamilton, Trevor Hamilton's dad, and then he invited me out to Honey Baked tryouts. And I was just always playing AA, and I was always just like the best one. That's like how we all were. And then I eventually got on Honey Baked when I was 12. And then we had that my second year, we had the Quebec tournament and we won that. And pretty much the rest was history there with Honey Baked, had a lot of great teams. We won nationals twice, states every year, every tournament. Yeah. We had some awesome years. Less than 10 losses every year with Honey Baked. Played with a lot of guys that are still playing. So AAA was a blast. It was
who are some of those bigger names that are still playing that were on those AAA teams with you?
Yeah, we had Tyler Mott, John Hayden, Mike McCarron, and then even guys who went on, Mike Downing, Trevor Hamilton, Blake Gober. I'm probably missing a ton of guys, but yeah. we had a lot of good players, man. It was a blast.
Do you think playing all those different sports when you were a kid like helped you be a complete athlete in regards to hockey once you decided hockey was the thing, or was it more just you loved doing all of it, so that's why you did it kind of thing? You know what I'm asking there?
Yeah, definitely the other sports, because I kind of had to actually make a decision between baseball and hockey whenever that was, 12, 13, because I could have either went and pursued baseball and done who knows what, probably honestly golf, the same thing, but I ultimately chose hockey. So it was kind of like, all right, I chose this. I'm going to be good at it one way or the other. Shot pucks in my basement every morning and night. So I did whatever it,
Can I cut you off there, Ev?
Oh yeah.
We've asked this before, but so for the listeners that don't know you as a player, because a lot of our listeners are from the Midwest, so they've probably never seen you play. You ended up playing in Michigan. You're a really good player. But anyways, so you always had the hardest shot on the team. Like you had an absolute fucking missile, right? Like your shot was just insane. So like when you're growing up, what are you doing in your free time when you're not playing hockey and you're at the house? Were you shooting pucks that much? Did it come naturally, or were you just fucking in the basement just fucking buzzing pucks at the net? Like that's all you like to do?
Yeah, it was. And it wasn't that I was just like the only thing that I was doing, because it was just absolutely not the only thing I was doing. But like I would wake up early before school. I just like loved shooting pucks in my basement. I had a net and I don't know, from the top of the circles in, however far that is, shooting area. So I just shot 100 pucks before school. At Honey Baked, we had one of those rapid shot machines. So I always got there an hour early and just was always working on my shot. And I was like, if I'm going to be good at something, it's going to be this.
Yeah.
And I realized scoring was fun. So I was like, let me just get good at this. So I just practiced it over and over again.
That's what you were good at. You had an absolute missile, and you were good at tucking the puck. Like it was.
Yeah.
Evel's got a shot.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, it's sick. I like that. I like hearing, because when I was growing up, I don't know how it was for you all, but now clearly when I look back on it, like I should have spent more time stick handling with my head up and doing all this stuff. When I was younger, I just thought it was fun to shoot pucks. And my dad would bring home, old TVs, washer and dryer like Sidney Crosby used to do, shoot in the fucking, the hole. He used to bring home all this old stuff, and I'd just sit in the driveway and just shoot pucks all day. I didn't care about stick handling. I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to shoot the puck as hard as I could.
See, I didn't do anything. Like my dad tried to get me to like do dry land and like shit to get better feet and whatever. I loved hockey games. Like I'm dead honest when I say it. Like, I mean, you saw, I wasn't a gym rat at school or anything like that. Like I just loved games. I loved practice. I loved games. And then I loved the locker room. So like, I don't know. When I was younger, I rode a lot of my God-given ability or, whatever to high levels. And to be honest, I thought I was, better than I was. So I truthfully never like tried to get better. And then I think that's why North Dakota was such a wake-up call for me, because then all of a sudden you're playing with all the best players, or 70% of the best players in the country, and you're like, well, I'm not as good as this guy, I'm not going to play. So it's, I don't know, everybody's path is different, but I just didn't really work very hard.
For sure. I mean, you definitely had the natural. I mean, you had way more skill than I did. Like I had nothing. But I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. I was kind of a gamer. The more I played, the better I was. And that's probably because I didn't do shit off the ice before to like prepare or anything. Yeah.
I don't know.
Where'd you play growing up, Ols?
I played in Duluth, Minnesota. So I was part of, the high school system here. And then I played at Green Bay and Sioux City.
Nice.
Yeah. So Ev, you obviously we've talked about Honey Baked, but what was the transition like from playing AA to, stepping up to AAA, playing for Honey Baked, which you already said, was the best. Obviously we're the same birth year. So when I was growing up, I paid attention to all these teams. I knew Honey Baked was the best team in the country. Like you'd always heard about Honey Baked, the players they had on the team. What was it like playing for that team? Like the transition from, AA, and then you're on this Honey Baked team, which is like very serious. You're the best team in the nation, and you're fucking traveling all the time. How do your parents handle that? How do you handle that? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, it was definitely crazy because like going from AA, wherever the hell I came from, Rochester Rattlers or I don't know, some team in Detroit, and then going to Honey Baked, we're at literally, and it's crazy, from Honey Baked to USA to Michigan, like nothing changed. Like, which is why it was like so much easier to go from like Honey Baked to USA than maybe some others. But
yeah.
Like Honey Baked, age 12, we had practice 3 days a week, 2 games on the weekend. We had off ice 2 days a week. We had like to record our shots that we took. Like I remember my first year, Mike, I messed up a drill. Like I went first and I just like made a pass when I wasn't supposed to. And Mike Hamilton's like 20 push-ups. And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? It's like 20 push-ups now. And I'm like, and my dad's like, dude, the guy's 12. So that was crazy. And then like being like with Hamilton and like John Hayden, we had guys flying in from Connecticut and Texas to play on my team at age 12. And my parents basically told me like after the fact that they looked at each other and were like, what did we just get ourselves into? Because Mike Hamilton like passes out the schedule and we're going to Russia and we went to Sweden and we went to Quebec and it was like crazy, man. But like that was just like normal. I would just like went along with the flow. And I just thought it was completely normal. But we got to go to some cool places. We went overseas a bunch. We traveled California, Florida, Arizona. We went everywhere. So it was cool as hell.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously after Honey Baked, you go to Ann Arbor and play for the national development team. So when you get that invite to 40 camp, like, what are your thoughts? Like, do you think you're going to make that team going to Ann Arbor? Do you want to make it? Do you want to go there? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was another thing too, where like, and kind of just like jumping ahead to the next story, but growing up, I always wanted to go to Michigan. Like that was it. Michigan was it. But then Michigan has a path, honestly, a Honey Baked USA to Michigan. So I always knew of like the guys who went to USA from Honey Baked, AJ Treas, Kenny Ryan, like all these guys that went from like Honey Baked to USA. So I always wanted to go there. And then getting the invite to 40 camp was like, shit, maybe I have a chance. But that was like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to make the team. It was like, I'm going to have to do some work to make the team. And I didn't even make it out of right after 40 camp. I had to go to nationals. So it was crazy, man. And like, even after 40 camp, like I still didn't know if I made it or not, which was wild.
Have you mentioned, which I didn't know. So obviously we were talking about the 40 camp. I didn't know that you didn't get offered after the 40 camp ended, which, you know, like in my scenario, I'll tell you this story. I don't know if you know it, but you know, we're at the 40 camp and I talked to my dad after like day 2 and he's like, yeah, you know, you've been playing well, but you know, I'm watching all these guys, like there's no difference in between any of you. Like, you're all good players. You got to do something ridiculous to do. Like, you got to fight. So I'm like, okay, Dad told me to fight. Like, I'm gonna fight someone. And that's when I got in the fight with Johnny Hayes in front of the net, and we both exchanged punches for like fucking 30 seconds. And it was strictly after that game, I got offered a spot in the team. Me and Hayes both in the locker room, both up in the office, like, you guys want a spot in the team? Is like, oh, my dad is right.
Wow.
So that's actually, yeah. So that was interesting. You said, I didn't know that you had gotten offered after 40 camp at the festival or whatever in New York. So that's interesting. What was your so you left the 40 camp and just didn't have an offer, and then you just kept playing and went to New York, played the festival, and then they offered you a spot on the team? How'd that go?
So we had the 40 camp. This is a cool story, actually, for the Minnesota listeners. But so we went to 40 camp, and then we had nationals the weekend after. And I went to that basically knowing it was between like me and Camerata. So we go through that, and I it's Honey Baked, it's AAA, so I just ripped it up through like the round robin or whatever. And we were just rolling everyone. And then in the semis, we played whoever. And then in the finals, we played Shattuck. And it was him, McKinnon, I think McCoshin maybe. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
And Raskov.
Yeah.
And probably others. But so we played them, and like Mott was already on the team, Hamilton was already on the team, and like Mike Hamilton actually told me before the finals, like, hey, if we lose, it's basically your fault. He told me that before the finals. So I was like, okay. So I had a goal in the finals. I ripped a one-timer on the power play. I remember that, and we ended up winning. And then I actually drove to Florida with Talcott after we won. And then I got a call when I was just sitting on the beach from Wisniewski.
Yeah. Ryan Wisniewski.
Ryan Wisniewski, yeah. And he said, hey, we're offering you a spot. Like, and I was like, fuck yeah. So that's how it happened. That's how it happened from nationals.
I'm thankful you showed up in that game, because I wanted you on that team. I didn't know at the time. I didn't really know you at the time, but
I'm very thankful you were on that team because you were my road roommate on the road, and we spent some time in the hotel rooms together and fucking Russia. You remember those fucking days? We're in Russia hotels together for fucking weeks on end. We had a fucking time, man. That was unbelievable.
We had some times, man. But yeah, we were on the road all the time. It was cool as hell. We had a great group there, but yeah, on the road we were running, man.
On Gage's intro text, he told us that you were the first real life movie character he's ever met. It goes you, then Jordan Schmaltz, then Connor Gorder. So that's pretty high praise.
Oh, when I met Ev, when we got together as a team, like no one knows each other when you get together as an NTDP team, and you just get together and everyone's like looking at each other like, who the fuck are you? Like, who the fuck are you? And Ev and I just knew this guy. I was like, I fucking love this guy. Like, this guy's a beauty. We have so many pictures together, like wearing stupid hats and stuff, hanging outside the rink. And then, oh man, those are fucking good times.
One of the funniest stories, speaking of those like intros at USA, our 18 year, we had some guys left, so we had to bring new guys in, and we brought in a new guy, Kevin LeBanc, and this guy shows up to like the intro banquet in like sweatpants and a hoodie, and we're like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah, because we're all like clean shaven, like short hair, polished, and this guy shows up in a fucking, and he's taking 6-hour naps every day. Like this guy's sleeping all day.
He's like, hey, what's up, guys? We're like, what the hell? But ends up being like one of the greatest guys ever, and now he's in the show. But oh man, we had some times. It was a hell of a time.
Oh, we were just so we were talking to Steven Santini last week. And he brought up do you remember when we'd go on road trips and we'd get up in the middle of the night when we were like 3 hours away from home and be like, hey boys, we're at Nick's. Wake up.
Yes.
I still remember like we used to do that to all the boys like 30 minutes before we'd wake up the whole team. But one day we woke up Banker. We woke up Kevin LeBanc like 4 hours before we got home. It wasn't even close. So he gets fully dressed and we're like, Banker, we're at Nick's. Like, let's go. And he wakes up in the sleeper bus and puts all his stuff on, walks up to the front, like just standing there.
Standing at the front. Gathered all of his things for like 10 minutes and it's like sleepwalking in the front, like I'm ready to go. We're in Indiana still.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Oh my God, dude.
And before you I don't even know if I want to throw Frizy under the bus, but Frizy was one of our good friends in Ann Arbor. And we go to Youngstown and fucking Frizy gets, goes out at night and gets caught. Like we're in Youngstown, we're still in fucking high school, like junior teams, like you're on the Lincoln Stars, you're on the Green Bay Gamblers, like there's 20-year-olds, they've been in high school for a while. We're all like juniors in high school, like we're young kids. And Frizy goes out in his tracksuit in Youngstown because he had a bad game that like Friday night or something. So he's pissed. So he goes out and like finds a couple of beers and just gets like, he gets caught. Like people see him wearing the USA tracksuit. We have this meeting, like in Ann Arbor, like, Frizy went out after the Youngstown loss. Like, because our 17 year, we lost like 30 games in a row. We were terrible. Like, it was awful.
I guess Frizy was waiting for people to come and people never came. So he's like, fuck it, I'll go.
Yeah, Frizy wanted the boys to come out and we're like, can't risk it, bro. I'm a fucking junior. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. But that's the thing about those East Coast guys. Like they go to prep school when they're really young, and it's like going to college. Like they're living in dorms. they're on their own. Like they've already been out of their parents' house for 5 years. When they get to Ann Arbor, when you're 17, 18, like it's nuts to think about. Like he was so much more mature and like older than us in terms of like, doing whatever he wanted to. Like we were also scared of like rules and, billet families and coaches and stuff. Like he had already been through that for like 4 years before us. And that's all those East Coast guys. Like they go to juniors, they don't even know the difference. It's just like, yeah, this is what I've been living like the past 4 years.
Right. One of the craziest things for me, though, and I kind of want to hear your guys' experience, was like just going to my billet families for the first time. It was like, hey, what's up? I just live here now.
Isn't that the weirdest shit ever? You just walk in, you knock on the door, and it's like, okay, I'm going to live here for the next 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the worst part is right when you get in there, 9 o'clock hits, and you're like, fuck, I could really use a snack. If I was at home, I'd just fucking go in the refrigerator and grab some. But you're at some random person's house, and you're like, I can't go in the fridge and just grab whatever I want. Like, I can't do it. So I just lay up in my room, like starving. Like, I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Get close with your billet brother. Text him, hey, can you go get me some snacks?
Hey, I've been meaning to ask you. So Ev lived in a billet family. The billet's son actually played for Honeybake, Cam Babiak, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's he at? Did he end up furthering his hockey career past?
Yeah, he ended up playing for 3 or 4 years at Bowling Green. Like he played D1.
No shit.
That's awesome.
He played in Sioux City or something. No, he played in Brookings in the NA maybe.
NA? Yeah.
And then he went on to Bowling Green. So I think he's going to play D3 next year maybe. But yeah, he's still playing.
Ev, one of my one thing about you that I just can't forget was, when you were around the boys in Ann Arbor and we were all hanging out, like, you were one of the boys and you're the funniest guy around. And we all have those friends, who are just completely different in front of the boys and then parents. Ev was one of those guys. So, like, he's just like this certain type of person in front of the boys. And then we'd get around like the billets and the coaches and parents. And Ev's just walking around like this clean cut, like just pretty boy. Like everyone loves him, like acting so professional in front of the parents. And it was so funny to see because like all of us we know him in the locker room and we're like, what is this guy doing? Like that is not who he is.
That's still the same, dude. It's so funny. Like people like that know me like outside of work that see me like doing work, they're like, what the hell? Like it's so funny. It's still the same way, but oh man. Loved it, man. At Chatham Billet House, we had some good times. And at Heartsease, like you said.
Oh yeah, like and Anthony Lewis too. Like Louis So we're all in these billet houses with strict rules, and Anthony Lewis comes in with, his dad buys a place in Ann Arbor, and he's like, yeah, I know, I'm living in Ann Arbor. Anthony's going to live with me or whatever. He lived in Chicago. He was just living there by himself. Yeah. We go over there every day. Like after practice, straight over there every day. There's all of us, just no parents.
Louis Belpedio.
Yeah.
Anthony Lewis. And we just had like 60 people parties there.
Yeah. Where was that place? Was that place where the cops came and we all fucking ran and dove into bushes and shit? Like we were running so far away from that place.
Yeah, I think that was there. Well, the Broad's house, but yeah, that was. That happened.
I remember I ran out of the back. So it was like it had a walkout basement. So I ran out of the back door in the walkout basement, and I remember seeing, there's an up top balcony deck, And I remember seeing like 3-4 guys just jump over the deck, like 12 feet in the air, just into the lawn, just full send, just fucking dive onto the grass. And I was looking back, just laughing, like, holy fuck, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And you know what the funniest part? You know what the funniest part was, Ev? It wasn't the cops. It was a couple guys on the team. It was like Steven and Scotty who showed up with flashlights at the front door. So everyone fucking ran from the house, hiding in bushes. Everyone's fucking running miles away. And it was literally two of the boys on the team with flashlights just pointing at everyone. And they're like, they put them down. They're like, what's everyone doing? Like, it's just a joke.
We were just joking. It's like we've guys 4 miles away, all the billets and shit. Like that was so absurd.
Oh, that's a story, fellas.
Oh, it was all time. So you mentioned, Ev, we'll kind of circle back a little bit, but you mentioned you always wanted to play for Michigan. When did you end up committing to Michigan?
I was a sophomore in high school, so it was my 16th year at Honey Baked.
And then you go to Ann Arbor, you play the 2 years. What's it like? You know, we always talk about this. Everyone's got a vision of what college hockey is going to be like. What's it like when you show up on campus and you're a Michigan Wolverine playing for the hockey team, the most storied program in college hockey? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. Like, especially going to USA and like being in Ann Arbor and like getting a lay of the land. Like, it was cool. Like, we were able to tell the other freshmen, like, oh, let's go here or let's do this because like we've been here before. But that was pretty cool. And then also just like putting on the Block M to play hockey, skating at Yost, playing for Red. It was all insane. Just to like the first month was just like, holy shit, this is crazy. And then school happened and it just becomes reality, you know, like, oh shit, this kind of is brutal. But no, it was cool as hell, man. It was cool. Like the first week was welcome week, which was just out of control, which we lived in Ann Arbor for 2 years and we had like we said, little house parties for USA kids and some Pioneer girls. Like then you go to Michigan and it's like, holy shit, dude, what the fuck? This is nuts. So it was unreal.
Was Michigan hockey, were you guys like house party team, or were you the older guys would go to the bar and then the younger guys would just fuck around back at one of the places, or was everybody at the house party? Was everybody getting into the bars? What was the party scene?
Yeah, we were always just like big free game at the hockey house, and then everyone was to the bars, and it was get in or go to the next one, pretty much. Yeah. But yeah, we were always going 100%, man, full speed.
Love that.
Oh yeah, I remember pulling up, circling back once again to 40 camp, and we're driving up and down the University of Michigan campus, and we ended up stopping because people were crossing the road like where they shouldn't have been crossing. And one of the guys was John Merrill crossing the road. He's got a 30 rack and a fucking flannel on. He's got a 30 rack right here, and he's run into a party. And it's John Merrill. Like, everyone knows when you're in Ann Arbor, like, you knew who John Merrill was because he was, like, just a star on the team at the time. And he unbelievable hockey player. So you're like, that's fucking John Merrill. And he's running across the road with a 30 rack on his shoulder. And you're like, God damn, like, I have to go to Michigan. Like that was I was in high school. I was committed to Denver at the time, and then I decommitted my senior year. And I was honestly thinking, like, I was thinking back to that moment. I'm like, I gotta try to get on Michigan. Like, that'd be nasty.
Yeah, that was like when even at USA, going back to USA, I think it was Justin Falk like came to speak to us. I think didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, he did.
He came to speak to us, and then we had our practice, and then we're like driving by Yost, and we look across the street. There's like 4 dudes outside, like drinking beers, smoking cigs. And we're like, was that Justin Fall? We're like, yeah. And that was like him with like the Michigan boys, like Merrill and those guys. But like that's just like what it was. Like we were like, what the hell was that? Then you get to school and it's like, normal.
It was so cool. It was so cool when you were in A2. Like, how many times did you go to DeBella's when you were at Michigan? Did you go back to DeBella's? Because that was like our number one spot in Ann Arbor, this sub spot. Fries, he would always get it free because he just order it and then never go to the cash register, just go with it.
Yeah, we were absolute regulars in there, but at Michigan, I mean, from time to time, but there was just like, I mean, I guess at Michigan we got everything free at the rink. I'm sure you guys did too at North Dakota, but yeah, we'd go there often, but we'd find our spots on campus, that you could moped to and shit.
Yeah, so we always ask, people always ask us, everyone's kind of interested in, how college teams get treated in terms of, facilities, meals, if they get tutors and stuff, travel. What's it like in Michigan? Like your facilities, are you with other athletes? Are you only with hockey players? How do you guys get treated there? Like, are you guys treated top notch?
Yeah, I would say it's us. Obviously, football is number one, basketball, but all the athletes get treated pretty much like the same in terms of the food, like travel wise for hockey. We flew private everywhere. We stayed in some of the nicest hotels. We always went to the nicest restaurants. We got unlimited food at the rink. We had dinner every night. You could take home whatever you wanted, waters, Gatorades, tutors, whatever you wanted, resume help, whatever you wanted. Like the academics and at the athletic with Michigan, like definitely do go hand in hand. Like I didn't take as much advantage of it as I should looking back, but it's all there for you. So you're treated like, I never played in the NHL, but I'm assuming it's very similar. So it's legit.
For sure. Were you friends with, like when you're on the hockey team there, or you're an athlete, are you friends with other athletes? And then are you friends with, regular students, or you just kind of stick with the hockey guys?
Yeah, we were really good buddies with the lacrosse team. A lot of similarities with them. We went out with them, had class with them. Our schedules were very similar. But then, yeah, we were friends with frat guys, a bunch of sorority girls. But those were all, 10 p.m. after relationships. Like, a lot of those were. But I'm still buddies with some of those guys still from Michigan. But we became, we mostly ran with the hockey team,
Yeah,
it's just hard when you're at the rink all day. I don't know what your guys' schedule was like, but we had, classes up until noon, and then we had practice at 2, and then if guys wanted to take a night class or whatever. So it kind of consumes most of your time, but it's pretty cool to hear, you found friends outside of the hockey team, even if it was just after, during go time or whatever it might be.
Yeah. That was pretty similar. We had practice 3:30, and then you could lift usually whenever, but we were out of there probably by 7. So yeah, your day is class and hockey, and then weekends obviously you're playing games or traveling. So
what were your weeks like? Because at UND, we kind of set our school schedules like, we take class from 8 to 10, and then you have an hour off, and then you take class from 11 till 1 o'clock or something. And in that, we were kind of always expected, right, also, like to skate even before practice at least once, to put in the extra like skills, skate with jacks or bubs, like I was with Bubs a little bit in my first years. He was the D coach. We do D drills for an hour on the ice, even before practice during the week. And it was kind of expected of us to skate twice a day, like throughout the year, just working on your skills. And then you get on the ice for practice with the team. Did you guys kind of do the same thing or not?
We were just talking about this at alumni weekend. There were certain guys that did go on the ice every morning. Warinsky, Larkin, Kyle Connor. And they had coaches out there, but I mean, they offered it, but it wasn't like a requirement. But we all went out there as much as we could. With Yost, it was tough because most days, like, they would kick us off the ice at a certain time because they had whatever going on. Like,
for sure,
it wasn't just Michigan hockey playing out of there. So that was tough. And we didn't have – that was one thing that sucked when I went to Michigan, is that we didn't have anywhere to shoot pucks off the ice, like nowhere. Besides one summer we used a batting cage for the baseball team. But I don't know, we were really only expected to do lift in practice, but we all utilized the ice when it was available.
You said that you could lift whenever. Did you guys not run like team workouts during the week? It was kind of like you had to show up and do it on your own time, and if you didn't, or were there team like we worked out 2 or 3 times a week, whether it was before practice or after practice, so we kind of had that time segment. You had mentioned that you work out at any time, so I was kind of curious on that.
Yeah, I think we did Mondays and Wednesdays during the year, and it was kind of like, okay, we're going to have practice 3:30 to 5 or whatever, lift at 5:30, but if you have something after practice or you want to come in at 7:30 or 9:30, you can come in whenever and do it, which our strength coach was really flexible with that. So if you didn't have class that day or whatever and you wanted to come in early, like, you could do that, which was nice.
Yeah.
So, Av, I remember hearing about, a little bit of, I don't know if you can share anything on, when you're a freshman, rookie coming in, what you have to deal with at Michigan. And it's kind of the same shit at UND, right? Like, we had to, do crazy shit too for the rookie initiation. And then also your fitness testing running the big house. I wanted to get into that too. So is there anything you can share on those two aspects that, might be intriguing to the listeners?
Yeah, that was one big thing of talk between with all the freshmen going into Michigan was, what's the, like, welcome to the freshmen. And it was good. I can't share too much or really, I guess, anything at all, but it was good, man. It was cool to just be able to be a part of the tradition. I can tell you more off screen, but it was tough. It was good. And then
that's kind of how I feel about, like, you see all these hazing things. Like, recently we've seen some hazing things go a little too far and people are coming out like, yeah, this happened, like, it was insane. Sometimes it can go too far, but from my experience, and I know others, it sucks going through it at the time, that freshman hazing, but it only sucks because, like, you're worried about it before it happens. And then once it happens, then once it's over, you're like, damn, that's like one of my favorite memories now, is that we did that. And, like, we were all so scared. We bought all this toilet paper to, cover our asses from fucking getting beat with a paddle. And, like, that's the shit that's the shit you remember. And, like, I love it, like, and obviously things get too far. People take it too far, which is unfortunate. But I know, like, I remember asking you about yours during the time and hearing about it. And it was insane, but it's a fucking good memory, right? Like, it's unbelievable.
I know it's so funny. Like, we all talk about it at alumni weekend too, like the tradition, and it's like freshman year going in, like, you're always thinking about it, and then, like, going in sophomore, junior, senior year, you're like, I can't wait till this is over so we can all just have the big team party or whatever it is, like it's not anything crazy, but like it's just like, oh,
You think it is when you're a freshman coming in.
freshman year. Yeah, like, oh, let's welcome the freshmen again. Like that's all it is,
Yeah.
You're just like overthinking everything, but yeah, it's good stuff.
So back to the big house run, which is not rookie initiation, it's just physical testing.
Yeah.
What did you guys have to do there at Michigan to pass that test? Like, what's that test like?
Yeah, so you had to go up, like down, over, up. Literally each section. I think there's like 85 rows, like the numbers, and they're every 2 numbers, obviously, because you're skipping stairs. But we had to go up and down each one and all the way around the big house in under 15 minutes. And it was like very like challenging, like very tough. And then after that, they put you in teams on like a row, and then you have to do like sprints up the steps, 15 of them. So you're dead afterwards. Like you can't do it. You can't walk afterwards. Your calves are fucked for the next week. Like it's insane.
I would have never made the team. I would have never made the team. It's a fact.
Yeah, I missed it 2 years, and then you just have to. Then you're part of like bike camp. You just have to ride the bike.
Yeah,
Back camp.
Yeah.
Back camp the whole year, just riding the bike the whole year, 30 minutes before the guys.
Yeah, exactly. But dude, it was so hard. Like it was, and it's just like the same thing. Like coming as a freshman, like instead of when you're a sophomore, junior, and senior, instead of thinking about, oh shit, I have to initiation, it's oh shit, I have to run the stadium in a week. Like
yeah,
like it's terrible. But yeah, I mean it's crazy.
Yeah, I was never much of a runner, so I would have never. I would have came up with an excuse and said, "I'm out."
I was the worst runner. You ask anyone at Michigan, I was so bad. I made up so many excuses. Oh, my ankle.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask, because I knew it's funny because I know Olson is a bad runner, and I know you are a bad runner as well, Ev.
Yeah.
Did you pass that test, or did you just find a way out of it?
The big house. One year I fell from the 15th row down.
Oh no!
Oh, like 75% of the way around, I just tumbled head over heels from the 15th row. And then all I had to do was walk around the field, so I got out of that year. But then I failed another year. But then I think the last 2 I passed. But the other running tests, no, I never passed.
Oh, I made up an excuse. We had to run a mile under 6 minutes. I didn't run it not once, Ev. Not once. All 4 years, I fucking big old bitched out. I already knew what was going to happen. I told him, I was like, I'm not going to finish this.
That's flying.
It's so funny out of Olson because he found a way out of the mile it was hilarious. You knew like he did not want to run it. Like he's a hockey player, he's not a fucking runner. And he found a way out of it every year. And it was so funny. Like you do like Olson running.
Yeah.
So,
I have a hilarious story from a run test. Olson, you played with Alex Kyle, right?
Oh yeah.
So we had to do this shuttle test. We were at the 50-yard line. You had to go to the goal line and back twice in under 34 seconds or something, 10 times. And me and AK both failed. And this was like right after welcome week. And Red walked up to Alex Kyle and was like, Alex, did you go out last weekend? And AK was like, no. And then Red walked right up to me afterwards, and I didn't know he did that. And Red was like, Evan, did you go out last weekend? And I was like, yeah. And I told AK after, and he's like, dude, I told him no. And we were like, no, dude. So, yeah, then we had a meeting with them, but it was all good. But funny run test story.
Oh, AK is all time. I love that guy.
The best, man.
I love that. I haven't talked to him I know he's still buddies with Cam Johnson, who I stay in touch with a little bit anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, AK is good. I feel like I haven't met a terrible guy that played AAA out of Michigan. Honest to God.
No, I love those Michigan guys, man. I like all of them. Like, it's just something about them. They're all like, it's just something about them that, they're pretty similar to Minnesota guys, but they just, they're AAA guys. They're not high school hockey, but it's similar. They're similar personality, and I think so much more funny. Like, Mike McCarron's one of my favorite Michigan guys. Just a fucking wild card. And Ols played against John or he played for Florida. Yeah. So Ols played in Orlando, so he played against John so many times. He's like, fucking hate that guy. And it's like, I'm just thinking of the McCarrons.
Oh my God. They're so good.
It's so good. It's so good. This all time.
Mike McCarron's laugh is the best.
Jason Segel.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. That guy had us cracking up on those bus trips at USA, man. They're so good.
I feel like we have to bring up, since we're talking about Michigan. So Ev obviously played us in the regionals in Cincinnati with the CCM line. Had an unbelievable team. Like, what was it like playing on that team? What was it like? Because we know, Olson and I know what it was like watching the Kajula, Besser, Schmaltz line. You had the Comfer, Mott, Kyle Connor line. Like, what were they like throughout the year? Was it just like you're just in awe? Like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, how are they doing this?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like, every year at Michigan, we always had one of those guys coming in, but like Kyle Connor was like, how good is this guy going to be? And then like the first few games, he was just absolutely insane. And then they put those three together, and then in practice, it was like, these guys don't belong here. Like, that's literally what it was like. That these guys just don't belong here. And some of the goals that he was scoring in these games were just outrageous. But Kyle Connor, I'm referring to. But those guys were unbelievable. What?
Ev, could you, watching that line, could you like realize that Kyle Connor was, he was kind of the top dog, or because JT and Mater were fucking just as good. I mean, they're incredible.
Yeah, I mean, they were all three ripping it up, but like every goal Kyle Connor scored was like crazy. Like, that was like holy shit, like a holy shit goal. Where JT and Mott were doing the same things, but Kyle Connor was every goal. Like, you go back and watch some of his highlights, it's like, damn, he didn't belong there. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty similar. I don't know how Kyle Connor is, but JT Comfer and Tyler Mott, almost similar style of play. Like, outwork everyone on the ice, details hell, and they're working as hard as anyone off the ice. Like, JT and Mott they're kind of the same person, a little different player, but they're just outworking anyone out there. Like, they don't have as much, like the CVS line for like Besser and Schmaltz. Those guys were just insanely talented. Like, it was just, they weren't like outworking everyone. They were just like, these guys are fucking stupid. Like, they were just born with like this natural ability to just be an absolute fucking superstar, And I feel a little bit like that was like Kyle Connor a little bit, but JT and Mater just had that down, that they were going to outwork anyone, and they were going to outcompete anyone they played against.
Yeah, like, it wasn't, they were like exactly like you said, the line, that CBS line, they were going down tic-tac-toe, like JT and Mott, they were dumping it in, going to get it, and beating KC. Whatever they were doing, like it was every face-off was won. Like it was all hard work, but Kyle Connor was definitely there with with all the skill to make up for it.
Who are
he's I was just gonna say Kyle Connor, that guy's still scoring special goals. Like that guy, in my opinion, he kind of came out of nowhere and just kind of fucking tore it up, and he hasn't stopped. Like I don't know. I guess, yeah,
he's like a Brock Nelson. He's like a Brock Nelson. Like he's just insane.
Yeah.
You throw in a Winnipeg game, you're like, Kyle Connor's probably going to do something in this game.
Yeah. No. It's crazy. That guy's special. He's one of the freaking good ones for sure.
Was Werenski on that team?
Yeah.
How was that guy? Because he was actually. You remember, Ev? So we were 18s practicing, and when you're on the 18 team in Ann Arbor, like every guy in that team is fucking dialed in, like trained well, knows how to practice, knows how to play. Like we're all so sharp in practice everywhere. They bring in this Werenski kid. He's not even old enough to play on the fucking 16 team. Like he's so young. And they bring him into practice with us, and this kid steps into practice, and he's just unbelievable. And it's like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, this is like we're all like, we've got first rounders on a team, like NHLers on a team that are, developed already. And this kid's not even there yet, and he was insane. Do you remember that practice? Like, he was nuts.
Yeah. As a freshman in high school, he had like all the like Bell Tire stuff on, and this kid is just like ripping passes through people, like sniping. Like, what?
How old's this kid?
Yeah.
13, 14?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it? I mean, was he like, who had the biggest star power on that team? I mean, you had so many guys. Could you tell, like everyone knew Werenski was just going to be some all-star, but.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely Werenski and Kyle Connor. I mean, Werenski had probably 40 points. I don't know, but it was out of control. Like that, I'm pretty sure that was the first power play. The CCM line, Werenski and Alex Kyle. Like, it was nuts. Like, Werenski was impossible to beat in practice. It was like, oh, here I go.
Oh, that's the worst. One-on-one drill, and you just see some fucking NHLer right there. Like, what am I fucking doing here?
Stupid. Yeah, there's no point.
Yeah. So they were special. He was special. It was, and he came back for a second year, which was that year. So it was cool.
Were those guys, doing anything different than the other guys on the team, or did they just have it?
Werenski definitely worked. He was on the ice every morning, I'm pretty sure. I think Kyle Connor the same, but there was other guys that were like third, fourth liners that were in the gym. I mean, way more than they were. It was, dude, they were just so good. It was like effortless, honestly.
Yeah, that's the way it is for those guys.
Yeah.
So we'll move on past Michigan, I guess. So you end up going past Michigan. You go to Sweden right after. How was that decision made? Like, you're in America, and then you decide to go to Sweden. How the fuck do you make the decision?
Yeah, so me and my roommate, or one of my good buddies, Max Schubert, he was going to take a gap year before he went to law school. So we just decided that we wanted to keep playing, and we didn't want to play here in the States. And then we connected with one of our alumni, Mike Chason, who connected us with his team in Sweden. They made us an offer. It was in the 4th league. It was, go look at my stats. It was a joke. But some games were pretty good that I got noticed to go to the play at the next level. But we went over there together. We traveled. We went to 20 major cities in Europe. We ripped it up together. We got the team in the next tournament, league, whatever it was. So it was a good time, but it was I was like, man, if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it in 5 years. So I just had to do it, and I loved it. It was unreal.
So did you get to a point at the end of your Michigan career, like you said you didn't want to be done, but was your mindset fully there to be like, okay, I'm going to be a hockey player, or was it like, we have this opportunity to go overseas and like explore, and that was kind of the pull? Like, what was the reasoning for going to Europe rather than staying in North America, just to explore something different?
Yeah, and when I had my exit meeting with Red, it was kind of like we didn't even talk about hockey. So I was kind of like, okay, we're gonna figure this one out. But I didn't know what I would do, like, if I didn't play hockey. And I was like, I'm not ready to figure this out yet, obviously. So, and I didn't want to play in the coast because I knew I probably wasn't going to make it any further. And I knew I was only going to do it for 1 year or 2 years. So I just said, let me go to Europe. I've been to Sweden 4 times or so, 3 or 4 times, whatever it was before that. And I loved it. So figured, why not? And I loved it. So it was cool.
Yeah. I would say that's probably my biggest regret is, like, I loved the coast and I loved playing in Orlando. It was awesome, but I wish I would have gone overseas because I've heard literally nothing but good things. And it's like, shorter seasons, even though you have to be there earlier or whatever, but the schedule of it all is just like lighter. And I wish I would have tried that and then been able to explore. So I just think that's cool when guys do that.
Yeah, it was. And then when I went back to Norway, I had a bunch of guys from the States and Canada. So it was unreal. I'm so glad I did it and I have, now with work, I have so many stories to tell too, which is cool as well.
Ev, how'd you transition? I mean, first off, how'd you land in New York, coming from Michigan? And how'd you transition from being a hockey player, like your identity, your whole life, into, something else where you're not a hockey player?
Yeah, it was definitely really, really difficult, but I just made that decision one day. Honestly, when I was working out by myself, that's what I did in the summer. And I was like doing hang cleans or something. And I was like, I'm done with this. It's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Seeing my friends doing what they were doing outside of hockey. So I just made the decision that I made. I networked with other Michigan hockey guys and then got a gig out in New York and then just went out there. And then that was completely different because, like, you wake up one day like, shit, I don't have a rink to go to. I don't have a workout to go to. I just have work to go to, It was odd, like not going into the locker room and like all of that. So it took a year or so to get used to. I mean, it was weird. And then COVID happened. So figured it out from there, man.
Yeah, just fucking clawing your way out from there. It was a weird time. COVID happens. No one knew what the hell was going to happen. The whole world was going to end and everyone was going to die.
Yeah, because I started working in October, and then COVID happened in March, and I was like, damn, I'm screwed, dude. I'm stuck in New York with a year lease. And I can't do anything. But then I eventually figured it out. So, but it was crazy, man. So, all good.
Yeah, it's nuts moving into the next part of life after hockey. Like, you're just so used to talking to the boys, grabbing a cup of coffee in the morning, and then the next thing you know, you're just fucking showing up to the office trying to do work, just something different. You have no idea what's going on, no knowledge. Like when you were playing hockey, when you got a little older, like you felt comfortable because your whole life you knew hockey. Like you were experienced, you had wisdom in hockey, you knew what was going on, and then all of a sudden, just fucking brand new start, like bang, fuck, it's tough.
Yeah. And I'm like at work, I'm like one of the first earliest employees. So I like know everyone that I like communicate with like somewhat personally. So like in my team chat, we have 18 of us now. I'm just firing in there. Like I'm talking to the hockey chat and I'll post like 4 in a row and I'm like, shit, this is work. Like, let me pull back a bit. So it's like, so I'm like in that mindset where I'm like calling the boys, like, hey, what'd you do this weekend? But I'm like, work These are work guys. So it's tough, but yeah, no, it's weird, man.
Well, that's great. Well, thanks for coming on, Ev. I think that's a great episode. We'd love to have you on again. If you're ever in Minnesota, I think you should take a trip, or I'll come out to NYC to visit you. But it was great to talk with you again, brother, and thanks for coming on again.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it. Did you guys have the Minnesota State Fair this week or this month, whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you might have to come out to visit that.
Yeah, I may have to. I'll let you boys know when I'm heading out there, because I can work from wherever. So yeah, I'll let you know. We'll get out on the course.
All right, let's go.
That sounds good. Love it.
Yeah, we'll get out on the course.
Perfect.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Around